Geminis really like who they are. Don't ever try to change a Gemini, because they will rebel against you and you'll know about it. No one will beat themselves up more than a Gemini who's in the wrong, but we will admit we're wrong and we'll say sorry. Geminis don't like to argue, but we're damn well good at it. We're actually quite shy, but we don't show it. A lot of people are intimidated by Geminis. Generally, we are streetwise. Gemini's not the most emotional sign. Yes, we are quite sensitive, but we don't believe in doing things emotionally. Head first, then heart. Geminis can be brutally honest and harsh in the delivery, because we just want you to get the point. What's up, peeps, and welcome back to Cyril Plays. I know I've been gone for so long, but I'm back, and here is a video about Geminis. I've been asked to do this video just to answer a few questions, and hopefully you'll learn a lot more about Geminis. First comes the boring old disclaimer, and I have to say that you may disagree with some of the things I say, but I'm a Gemini, so how can you? Shut up. Okay, no, seriously, the disclaimer. So not every Gemini is going to be like this. Don't live your life by this video, but do watch it till the end, because I'm a Gemini, so what more can I say? I'm going to be perfectly and brutally honest with you about everything Gemini. A lot of people find it very hard. I'm going to get straight into it. As a perfect example of a Gemini, I'm very much a Gemini. So, personality. A happy, bright person. We like a happy, bright home. We like to prance about being happy. Even if we are unhappy, it's not the biggest thing at the forefront. We manage to throw our unhappiness away for a bit and get on with what we're doing. We are practical people. We are bubbly. We are flirtatious. That doesn't mean we cheat, by the way. A lot of people believe that Geminis do cheat. Of course, some do. We'll get onto that in a minute. We are trendy. We like to know exactly what's in right now, and we'll know what's in before anyone else does, before it's even in. Very talkative. We always come up with new subjects to talk about. You'll never have that awkward silence with a Gemini. And if there is a little silence, we kind of give you a break so that you don't have to listen to us talking for too long, because it can get a little bit too much. We like to do what we want when we want. We float around. We are social butterflies. But having said that, we do have unsociable times as well, where we get overwhelmed, and that's the dark side of Gemini. I'll get onto that in a minute. We see the good in every negative that we come across, and even though we mope about a little bit and overthink everything and get overwhelmed by our own thoughts, we are constantly thinking. I'm quite sure that we think in our sleep. Geminis dream a lot as well, because we think so much. We try not to lose hope. A lot of the time we will, if we do lose hope for a little while, that won't last more than a day. It won't even last a quarter of the day, or maybe just an hour during the day. Maybe just, of course it depends on whether you're depressed and if you have a lot of anxiety, which I do, but even as a person with depression and anxiety, I bounce back. I'm very resilient. We're like elastic bands. We love intellect. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a scientist or somebody who knows everything about airplanes or anything like that. Of course, we do like intellect in that capacity. We are turned on by intellectual conversation, whatever it's about, as long as we can be stimulated in the conversation. We have to be stimulated. Cute and dumb ain't enough for us. Now, that very much especially counts in relationships. We need somebody who's going to keep us intellectually stimulated. We need that intellectual stimulation, whether that's with friends, family, and especially in relationships. You won't catch us in a relationship with somebody who's dumb. No offense to anybody, but if you don't know much about anything, you won't get on with a Gemini. We do get on with every other star sign there is. We don't necessarily clash with anybody else because we're quite adaptable and we're very flexible. Every Gemini has that childlike glow. Underneath, we are big kids. It doesn't matter how old we are. If you're in a relationship with a Gemini, or if you live with a Gemini, you need to give them space. Space, space, space is so important for a Gemini. We need time to think. We need time to act. We need time to chill. We always need that little bit of time on our own, no matter how sociable we really are. We like going out to parties. We love being out doing our thing. Every Gemini likes to socialize in one way or another, whether that's eating out, bar hopping, whatever it is. We love socializing. We love people who like a bit of banter. I'm going to say that personally, I don't really like cringy, crude banter. Not so much. I don't like sexual jokes or innuendos. We are more likely to laugh at intellectual jokes and witty remarks. We love witty people, we are witty people, and we love talkative people, as long as we get a word in. Not really a problem with a Gemini. We always get words in, and we are entertaining. We like new things, so if you go to a Gemini's house, you'll always notice that something has changed. Either the furniture's moved around, there's been some decorating going on, or they've totally decluttered the house. There's always something going on with a Gemini. You never get a dull moment. From day to day, we are those two people. We've got the dark side of the Gemini and the bright side of the Gemini, and we are those two people every day. And this is where some people struggle, because we have a shifting personality. It doesn't mean that we're two-faced. It doesn't mean that we're two different people. It means that those two people are what makes us. I always make a point of asking somebody what star sign they are. Not as soon as I meet them necessarily, but if we get chatting, I want to know what star sign they are, and I'll always guess in my head what star sign they are, and most of the time I will be right. We do like getting up early in the morning and getting stuff done, and we do try to get to bed at an early or decent time at night. Not that it always happens, because our brains are always on overtime, and that is what stops us sleeping, because we've got stuff to do. I mean, you can expect a Gemini to start clearing out cupboards at 1 in the morning and finish at 3 a.m. and be up at 6 or 7 again the next day. We have a lot of energy, and sometimes we totally run out of energy, and that's when we become unsociable, because we need that little bit of time to recover. Sometimes we'll use up all of our energy and we won't save any of it for the important stuff or the structured stuff or things that need to be done, and this can get a bit mundane for us. I know for a fact that I'll be raring to go, I'll get through something, and then there's just that last little bit that I need to do, especially if it's administration stuff. So if I'm on the phone, I'm dealing with something, and I've got to wait a week for the next stage of it, I really don't want to go back to it. So we have got a problem finishing tasks. That doesn't apply to everything. If it's an artistic task, if it's fun, if it's something we're passionate about, we'll talk about it all day, we'll do it all day, we'll do it until we're dead. When we run out of energy is when we start to need time to ourselves. And this is where some people don't understand. Like last week, she was so sociable. I saw her nearly every day. This week, she doesn't want to know. She won't even answer the phone because the energy has run out. Or it may be that we're overwhelmed with certain aspects of our lives because we don't talk about our emotions very much. We don't tell people anything about our private life unless we really trust you. We don't have a problem trusting, but we do hold stuff back until we know you well. A lot of Geminis prefer to have a small circle of people they trust rather than lots of friends, but a lot of Geminis do have lots of friends where we kind of consider them acquaintances, not really friends. So, if you're in a relationship with a Gemini and you wonder why sometimes they just become, from being a very warm, loving, sociable, interactive person, they turn into somebody who's quite cold, kind of one-track minded, doing their own thing, Don't worry, it's nothing to do with you unless you've done something to hurt them and they haven't told you about it, but we do say it how it is. A lot of the time, a lot of Geminis will tell you how it is. They're not going to hide anything. They're going to be completely honest with you. They're going to throw it at you. And that's where some people think that we're a bit heartless or cold. But you'll always get the truth from us. Don't ever accuse a Gemini of lying. It's not a good move, especially if they're not. And don't ever presume a Gemini's actions, or a Gemini is thinking about something that it hasn't even crossed their mind, especially if you're trying to make them look bad. That will make a Gemini go mad on you, and they will react in a way you don't want to see that side of them. Trust me. Most of the time we are quite airy. We are an air sign, so a lot of the time we're quite floaty, bubbly, really light, and that's why people are drawn to us. But we have got the fiery side of us, and if that comes out, you're going to wish you didn't start that argument. Do me a favour. If you're having an argument with a Gemini, let them walk away. A Gemini will always choose to walk away after they've said their piece and listen to what you've got to say. And a lot of the time, we do listen to your side of it. But if you're coming out with stuff that we don't want to hear because it's not true, or you're making us look bad when we're not trying to be, Geminis can be misconstrued and misread a lot of the time. We do struggle with that a lot of the time, even though we're up on communication. We are very good communicators and we explain everything as it is. But if you still don't get it and you try to accuse us of doing something that we're not, or thinking something that we're not, or behaving in a way that we didn't mean to, or that you misread, you don't want to see that side of Gemini. They say that Geminis are untidy or disorganized. Let me tell you something. I'm just going to talk about myself here, but the untidy part is very minimal, and I will always tidy up after myself, and I get extremely annoyed if I'm tidying up after other people constantly. The chances are your Gemini is the same. Yes, we can put things here and there, but we know where it is and we're coming back to deal with it as soon as we're ready, and it won't be like that for long. Any Gemini that I've known, their house is clean. They do their chores. A Gemini is a very house-proud person. If you've met anyone who isn't, I'll be surprised if they are really a Gemini. They might be on the cusp, because I can safely say that I hate a messy or a dirty house. No. Because we are quite overwhelmed in our minds about a lot of stuff, we don't like the untidiness in a house because it stops us concentrating. Weird, I know. But Geminis need to have a clean, clear, empty, fresh environment to be able to function. That's how strong this is. So if you know any messy Geminis, put it down in the comments below. Geminis are very kind people. They are very generous. They are very giving. They will give you their last pound. They will give you the coat off their back, but only if they feel like you deserve it and you appreciate it. If you don't appreciate a Gemini's kindness, you won't get it again. A Gemini will be kind, they will be over-caring, and they care about their loved ones massively. Even if you're not treating them as well as they deserve to be treated, they will care to the end. And a lot of the time, Geminis will get overwhelmed and overthink everything they've done, or even if they've made a little mistake where, you know, if it was anyone doing it to them, they'd forgive them straight away, because Geminis are very forgiving. Don't forget, but we do forgive. We will do anything to make people around us happy, and a lot of people do take advantage of our kindness. So don't take a Gemini's kindness as a weakness, because we are so conscious that we are doing too much for you. If that is the case, if we are doing too much for you, that's on us. It's not because we're trying to get your attention. It's not because we're sucking up to you. It's just the way we are. We will help anybody. We will help people on the street. We'll talk to anybody. We talk to people on the street. If we see a homeless person, we will be the person to help. If we've got the money, if we've got the stuff, if we've got what you need, even if it's just a listening ear, you ring a Gemini up with any problems, they'll sit and listen to you and they'll give you some balanced level advice back. Negatives of Gemini? Can't really think of any. Of course there are. In every star sign and in every personality, not necessarily just star signs, in every character, there will be a negative. But this will depend on how the person's been brought up, what sort of life they've got, whether they have any money or not, all of the stuff, all of the usual things that makes you up to be who you are. But generally, these characteristics that I've listed are what Geminis are. Even if they're the illest people in the world, they will try and help you. Even if they're the poorest people in the world, they will put you first. Geminis will always put other people first. I hear you say that the Gemini you know is selfish. If you believe that the Gemini you know is selfish, it may be that they don't have the energy to give you right now. So they may become self-absorbed. Yes, that is a possibility, but Gemini loves themselves and they believe that they have the responsibility to themselves to be able to function normally and as they would like. Because we're practical people, we don't like people getting in the way of our practicality and the way we live our lives. Gemini will not do something they don't want to do. Gemini will say no when they want to. Gemini may say yes if they feel like you're worth it or that they can afford to do what you want them to do. But Gemini will consider their own health, their financial situation, and everything else to do with what you're asking them to do. So if Gemini becomes selfish, there's a good reason behind it. It's either that you don't deserve what you're asking them to do, or they can't afford to do what you're asking them to do. So if a Gemini says no to you or wants things their own way, which is another one I hear, Geminis want their own way. It's not because we're stubborn, it's because we know that the way we want is what's good for us and maybe what's good all round. And of course, everybody has to consider themselves. So in a situation, you think about the situation and you weigh up what the options are and what the results will be. Gemini will see the result from miles away. Gemini is extremely good at looking into the future. Gemini will plan 5 years ahead. We will always be a step ahead of everybody else because we know we have to be, because we are very independent people. We don't like asking for help. We don't like the feeling that we owe somebody something because they've helped us. We don't want to hear that. So we would rather just do stuff ourselves. And if we do ask you for help, we trust you. We have to trust the person we ask for help. Otherwise, there is no way we're asking the person for help. And every day, we don't want to waste a moment of our day. A Gemini will be somebody who wants to move up and move on. If bad things happen, a Gemini gets over it quickly. Inside, we will be thinking about it. We will be upset about it. We'll try not to show it on the outside. A lot of the time, we're successful in doing that. Unless you're close to us, then we'll tell you about it. But a lot of the time, Gemini will keep their problems to themselves and keep their emotions locked up. And they will bottle things up. If we tell you any part of it, it will be a brief description of what's going on, your advice, and then we're over it. That's that. It's not that we are unemotional, cold-hearted, or cold people. It's just because we don't like to dwell on stuff. And we don't see the point in it. Because Geminis like to consume their energy for the right purposes. We like to hold on to the energy that we've got and use it for good things and for positive vibes. Gemini will carry positive vibes and will use their energy to accumulate positive vibes daily. Every day that we accumulate a bit more energy, we have more positive vibes, and that is why a lot of people are attracted to and appeal to Geminis. Don't ever accuse a Gemini of being sneaky or premeditated. Yes, a Gemini can be sneaky if they have to be. If it's life and death, they will lie about it and they will be sneaky and they will make sure you don't find out about it. But equally, they won't do it to harm anyone. It will be for their own personal reasons why they're doing it. It's not a vendetta against you. It's not them being vicious or spiteful. Geminis are not spiteful unless they feel they need to be in a situation. A lot of people say Geminis are manipulative. Yes, we have every ability to be manipulative, but we choose not to be. We can be persuasive. We can try to persuade you to think of things the logical way. If you're lacking in any common sense at any time, we will take into consideration your age and whether you're male or female, depending on the logics of the situation. But Geminis have a short temper when it comes to people who lack common sense. We have a short temper with people who are selfish, self-centered, untidy, inconsiderate, and untrustworthy. Those are the, I can't say qualities, those are the reasons why a Gemini would become their worst selves. So if you see any manipulation, anger, basically a Gemini having a short fuse, it is because that you're that type of person, and they are the type of people we would clash with generally. They're putting a lot of consideration into being a good friend or a good partner to you, and you're putting none in, they will lose their temper. Gemini will never start the argument first. They will argue with you if you started the argument. Now, it could be anything. You could start an argument over something very small and confront a Gemini with it. But if they're telling you their reasons for doing something and you're arguing with their reasons, that'll be it. Shit will hit that fan. They'll turn that argument around and you'll wish you never started it. Gemini never like to fall out with people. They like to keep the friendship going, but they will distance themselves. And each time you let a Gemini down, they'll distance themselves to the point where they don't contact you anymore. And in the first place, Geminis are quite difficult to get hold of, and they are really the people who won't initiate contact. A lot of the time, a Gemini won't initiate contact unless you mean a hell of a lot to them, and if there's a reason for it. So they might message you about something constructive, something, again, the practical side of Gemini. It will very rarely be, hi, how are you? There will be a reason why they message you. It's not because they're trying to use you, it's because they will only message you if it's important. And they will only answer your calls or your messages if it's important. So if you get aired by a Gemini, that's it. That's the reason why we hate small talk. Can't be dealing with that. Don't want to be wasting time. I've got stuff to do. A Gemini never sits around bored. A Gemini will always find something to do, and it will be something constructive that forms a part of something else. It might just be the washing, but they've got a goal that they're going to get all that washing done today and ironed and put away. And that's what a Gemini is going to do, and you're not going to stop them. And they won't allow it. And this is why people think Geminis are selfish, but we're really not. We seem self-centered, but we've always got good reasons for trying to keep our time for ourselves. We don't want to be wasting it. Geminis hate wasting time. If a Gemini cheats on you, it's because you're not treating them well. Do Geminis cheat? Well, does anyone cheat? People do cheat. Geminis may be likely to cheat if they have been trying with you and you're not hitting the spot, and they're constantly telling you things that they don't like that you're doing and you continue to do them. Yes, a Gemini can cheat. If a Gemini really loves you, really loves you, deep down loves you, they won't cheat. If you're ticking the boxes in that relationship, if you're giving them the space they need, you're not questioning them about things, you're not making them feel like they're doing something wrong, you're not making them feel like you're constantly watching them, you're not trying to check their phone, follow them, get a detective on their back to make sure they're not cheating. If they sense any mistrust, they will cheat. Geminis rebel against lies or accusations. If you accuse a Gemini of doing something, a Gemini will do it. Geminis are rebels. Gemini will cheat on you if they don't care about you. If they don't love you, they will cheat on you. But you'll be able to tell from their actions because they won't be fake. They won't pretend they love you. They will make it obvious that you don't mean a lot to them. They won't be spending a lot of time with you. They won't be calling you. They won't be answering your calls. They will simply get on with their own life and never put you first. A Gemini will only cheat on you if they've given you the signs or even said the things that they want you to fix or change. And it doesn't mean that a Gemini wants you to change. It just means that a Gemini wants you to change the way you interact with the Gemini. A Gemini will accept you for whoever you are. They'll either move on or they'll stick with you. But they will always tell you that they don't like something that you're doing. They will always make it clear. But if you continue to do it, they will lose all respect for you, and they will really not care about what you think or what you feel, and they will move on. I've actually never been in a relationship with a male Gemini. All of these little things that I've said will apply to the male as well. Give a Gemini space, give a Gemini love, give a Gemini time and respect, and they will give it to you tenfold. Well, hopefully that answered your questions about Geminis. If you really care about your Gemini, don't crowd them. Don't suffocate them. A Gemini needs their freedom. If that's not you, you might as well walk. When should you give up on a Gemini? I think when you see that they're no longer trying with you. A Gemini will always show you that they care about you. You might not know if they love you or not, because Geminis they're not going to be the first to say I love you, put it that way. If that does happen, they really, really do love you. But a Gemini will show you they love you by putting you first a lot of the time, within reason, sharing their time, their energy, their money, everything with you. So if a Gemini loves you, you will feel it. They won't have to necessarily tell you. So, that's all about Geminis. I can't think of anything else to say, but put down in the comments below if you're a Gemini or you have anything to do with a Gemini, you're with a Gemini, or you have Geminis in your family. Any problems, put it down in the comments below and I'll try and answer your questions. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out. Being a Gemini is so much fun because basically we just do what we want when we want. So let's just go for the general rules of a Gemini. Have fun, enjoy your life. Life's too freaking short. You only live once.